We're going to call this meeting of the Laramie City Council for May 2nd to order. You all would like, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Gabriel.
Here.
Newman, absent. O'Doherty.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Shumway.
Here.
Somerville. Somerville. Mayor stepped away, but Mayor,
Sure.
just want to note that she has been on with us.
Thank you, City Clerk.
Cumby, absent, and Harrington.
Here.
So that is 6 present at the time and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. We will move on to public comments on non-agenda items. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the City Council on any item is welcome to raise their hand on Zoom or come forward if you are in the room. I would note you will have 3 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak to the council? Go ahead and come forward, sir. We have a long agenda, so I will hold you to 3 minutes tonight. And give us your name for the record, please.
My name is Stephen Bays, spelled B-O-E-S-E. The proposed rules and regulations for the Laramie Airport can be found on their website. An effect of these proposed regulations is analogous to the City of Laramie prohibiting within city limits any and all maintenance of vehicles, then empowering any city employee having observed what they consider to be a traffic violation, burned out taillight, to demand law enforcement immediately remove that person from the city limits and then prohibit that person from simply setting foot within the city limits for the rest of that person's life, all without any due process whatsoever. Did I just make this up? 2 definitions from the document. Airport authority, quote, collectively the director and staff mandated to operate the Laramie Regional Airport, unquote. Quote, AOA means the secured and restricted portion of the airport generally located inside the secured fence, unquote. From just 3 sections of the document, quote, law enforcement may be contacted to exclude or expel any person who violates any provision of these rules and regulations or other regulatory measures, unquote. Quote, any person who creates an unsafe or hazardous condition in the AOA may have their access and all privileges immediately revoked on a temporary or permanent basis at the discretion of the authority, unquote. Quote, individuals responsible for runway incursions will be removed from the AOA immediately and their airport access suspended for an amount of time to be determined by the authority. Permanent suspension of airport access may be considered. Note that suspension of airport access, not just AOA access, is stipulated here. In addition, there are multiple references to unlimited fines and penalties elsewhere in the 44 pages of regulations. Is it likely that such actions would be taken? Some already have, even without the adoption of the proposed regulations. It is unlikely that residents of Laramie would accept enforcement procedures within the city similar to those proposed for the airport, just as some users or tenants of the airport are expressing concerns regarding the proposed airport regulations. Since you have the ability or maybe even duty of oversight of those you appoint, it seems to me that some gentle guidance from you may be in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bays. City Clerk, Councilor Somerville had reached out saying she could not hear. It's been resolved. Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak to the council? Come on forward. Thank you. And give us your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello again, Council and Mayor. My name is Chris McGlover. Sorry again for my unpreparedness again today, but the airport out here has received $3 million in the last 2 years just for general funds to maintain and operate the airport. 1.3 in 2022, 1.6 in 2021, and this doesn't involve millions of dollars also given to them in CARES Acts and then through different entities like the Wyoming Commission. Along with this money, you have general grant assurances, like 20 or 30 grant assurances that you must follow as an entity in order to maintain this money for 20 years. Okay, I spoke to you guys last week about my airport being stored out, or my airplane being stored out there, and then myself being prevented access to maintain it, to tie it down to the airport, and then the cops were called on me. Let me read you one of the provisions in the grant assurances that will cost us all millions of dollars. The economic non-discrimination. It, the airport authority, will not exercise or grant any right or privilege which operates to prevent any person, firm, or corporation operating an aircraft on the airport. They prevented me from operating my aircraft on the airport by denying me access to it. It also goes on to say that you cannot be prevented from performing any services on your own aircraft, including but not limited to maintenance, repair, and fueling. I have also been denied fueling my own aircraft out there. I brought that up the first week. This clause alone will lose us all that money, and it's not money that I want to lose because I use it. It's used to maintain the airport that I operate out of. So I was curious, when these provisions or when these rules took effect out at the airport, and I made a request to the airport for the meeting minutes for the airport board time that these rules were enacted. On their website right now, I'll show you guys, there's 9 board meeting minutes. When I made the request, there were 7. 2 showed up conveniently that addressed the rules that were made that violate this. Okay, so now I want to make a formal request. I want all of the meeting minutes from the airport board so we know when these rules are coming into effect that are violating these assurances. I think that's very, very important to have transparency, especially when we're all trying to maintain and operate out there in a safe and effective manner. So with that, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. McGlover, and you would need to reach out to the city clerk during business hours to make that formal request. It will not suffice in public comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak to the council on any item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close that public comment period, and I will recognize Councilor Pierce for item 5.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the agenda be set. I move that the agenda be set.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the agenda has been set. Councilor Pierce? Okay, thank you. We will move on then to the first public hearing. City Clerk, I'll have you go ahead and read that.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. on May 2nd, 2023 in the City Council Chambers, Laramie City Hall, 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. The meeting shall be held with both online Zoom and in-person option to take public comments on the following: original ordinance number 2060 TA-23-01, text amendment proposing amendments to Title 15 of the Laramie Municipal Code for the purpose of correcting an error in a previous text amendment process, TA-15-06. All applications, plans, and specifications relative to these matters are available for review at the City of Laramie Planning Office at 405 Grand Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. Would anybody like to speak to this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we will close that public hearing. And then, City Manager, I know there were some announcements from staff.
Yes, Mayor. The first one being from Public Works, and then we'll move to the Assistant City Manager's office.
Thank you. Good evening, Director Webb. The floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Council. Wanted to let you know about Free Compost Day this year. It is scheduled for Saturday, May 20th. at the landfill, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. All residents of Albany County are welcome to come out and get free compost. Last year, we gave away over 500,000 pounds of compost at Free Compost Day, and a total of over 4 million pounds of compost were sold or given away last year. The guys have been working real hard out there the last few weeks, screening piles and piles of compost. So we have plenty of it. I talked to JR today, the solid waste manager, and he told me our customer base is expanding. Last year we had customers come in from Rollins, Hanna, and some areas of northern Colorado, including Walden, to pick up compost. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Webb. That's excellent news. Assistant City Manager. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Mayor. Let Nancy cue up the image for you guys. I'm here to announce that we recently finished a lighting retrofit upgrade at the Laramie Fire Station number 3. I think that's important to note because it meets some of the council's goals and our city's goals. This project, we were able to use our WattSmart partner through Rocky Mountain Power to receive incentives, and basically we replaced 224 T11 fluorescent bulbs with 224 T5 LED bulbs at a 24 watt equivalent comparative. I think the important thing to see there is what you have in front of you is our incentive from Rocky Mountain Power totaled $1,875.95, which reduced the overall project cost to just roughly $5,900. The equivalent payback on that project is about 2.2 years with a $3,000 per year estimated savings just in this one project. The savings, if you look at the kilowatt year energy savings, is about 37,519, and then our demand reduction is 7.3 kilowatts per month. And I think that's just an important project to bring to note. It was led from our facilities maintenance manager in conjunction with Kevin Lamb at Laramie Fire Department. I think it was a great decision. If you get a chance to see it at night, I'm told that it's pretty spectacular lighting and that you might enjoy that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. I think both of those announcements are pretty great. They work on our carbon neutral goals, but I think they also really demonstrate good stewardship of the taxpayer dollar, and that is always appreciated. So thank you both for those. Council, are there any disclosures on items before us this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will go back to Councilor Pierce for item 8.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Richardson. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman, absent. O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 noes, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. The consent agenda has been approved. We will move on to item 11. Councilor Somerville.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2058 on second reading, amending Laramie Municipal Code Section 9.16, regulating handbills upon private property when nuisance declared.
Second.
Okay, motion by Somerville, second by Gabriel. City Manager, I have you for this item for the handbill.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Mayor, this ordinance is before you after having been postponed at the last meeting. What this would do is take the section of our handbill portion of municipal code and amend it to not make any changes with respect to what types of handbills can be left on homes, but to allow for the placement of materials on vehicles that are authorized by the city in the course of its official duties and public information. What we envision here is that with this small change, we might be able to engage in some incentive-based enforcement and public education. An example would be potentially enforcement of parking in the downtown through incentive by maybe leaving some sort of kudos or meritorious award, if you will, on folks' vehicles as opposed to leaving tickets, and encouraging positive parking where it's allowed and for the time periods it's allowed, to create more awareness of where parking can best be done in the downtown for short durations, long durations, et cetera. So that's one example of how we might utilize this change to ordinance. There are undoubtedly many other ways that the city could use this for public information and for public purposes, but as yet we haven't envisioned all of them. So.
Thank you, City Manager. Council, is there any discussion on this item? Any questions? Okay. We will go to members of the public who wish to speak on this item. I see Mr. Glass has his hand up, City Clerk. Mr. Glass, when you are in the room, the floor is yours. You'll have 3 minutes. Welcome, Mr. Glass. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It took a moment until I was able to get into the room. Anyway, as I looked over this item, I noted that it said that no person shall distribute or otherwise place any commercial, written, or graphic material on any private property in the city, et cetera, without express consent of the owner. And I noticed that it exempts the U.S. Postal Service, but it doesn't exempt a number of other entities that really should be exempted for the benefit of the homeowner or the business owner. As a matter of fact, and again, this is something that people would want. It doesn't exempt FedEx, for example, or UPS. It doesn't allow the gas company or the electric company to leave you a notice, and those are also obviously commercial. It seems to me that while you're revisiting this item, you ought to remedy this. I personally don't mind even ads. I don't mind having ads for pizza delivery or things like that put on my door, so long as they don't blow around in the wind and they don't litter. But certainly utilities, whether they're gas company, electric company, telephone company, broadband providers, and certainly delivery services should be included in the exemptions in this while you're modifying. So I'd like to call maybe for a friendly amendment to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Any other members of the public wish to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment time on this item. Move back to the council for any comments. Councilor Doherty?
Yeah, I was just, I have problems with this because I feel like the reason, I feel like it should apply, I like the idea of trying to reward people, but I also have heard people that are very sensitive about anybody touching their car. Like, I drive beaters, it doesn't matter to me, but I was wondering about a situation if there was going to be some road work necessary. Would that be an example of something that you would want to put notices on cars, like First Street is falling down and we need to hurry up and get it, and it wasn't time to, is that an example of one of the things this would allow you to do that you can't do now? Thank you.
Mayor, through you, Councilor O'Doherty, right now law enforcement can and do place decals on windows, like for towing, et cetera. And so that can be done right now, but it's typically done across all of our city potential uses by law enforcement as an enforcement action. But to your example of could we put some notice on somebody's windshield in a brochure or something if the car needs to be moved, I think, yes, this ordinance change would allow for that to be placed by non-law enforcement officials, like from the street department. I guess I would offer to, certainly the city would be sensitive to not putting anything onto someone's vehicle that would damage it. That wouldn't be in our interest, so.
Any other comments or questions, council? Okay. City Clerk, you can call the roll on this item.
Somerville.
No.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Gabriel.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses, 1 no, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item passes second reading. Counselor Gabriel, item 12.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to award the bid for replacement of Unit 604 roll-off truck to Elliott Equipment Company, Commerce City, Colorado. The amount not to exceed $315,475. Amend the budget accordingly. Authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Gabriel, second by Pierce. Director Webb.
Mayor, City Council, excuse me, Unit 604 is a roll-off truck that is primarily used out at the landfill. When you go out there, we have the elevated Z-walls where you can drop off your tires and metal and construction demolition waste. That truck is used to move those containers around. It's also used to move baled waste from the bale building down to the landfill, and then a couple times a month leaves the site to take metal to the recycling companies in town. Our current Unit 604 is 23 years old. It's in pretty poor shape, which is one of the reasons we are, what we normally don't do is ask you to award the higher bid, but here we are because the lower bid is an additional 531 days out on delivery. And we are in desperate need of this truck. The company, Elliott Equipment, actually has this truck on their lot, and they said as soon as the award is done, they'll send it in to get the rail system put on the truck, and they think we'll have it actually probably within about 90 days, which helps us a ton. The other reason we're asking you to award the higher bid is that the low bid company also took some exceptions to our warranty specifications. Part of that was they will not cover any towing if it's a warranty item. So an example, if we have a $50 part on a truck that needs to be fixed under warranty, the city will end up paying probably $1,800 or so to tow that back and forth to Cheyenne to get warranty repairs done on it. The other exception they have is they will not allow our staff to work on the trucks under warranty. So most places will say, that's a $50 part, we'll send you the part if you guys want to put it on, right? And we'll put it on and be done with it. They took an exception to that. They said if we work on the truck, it voids the warranty. So for those reasons, we're asking you to award to the higher bidder. It's a $8,800 difference. With that, I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Director Webb. Council, any questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will go to the public for any public comment on this item. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and raise your hand. If you're in the room, come forward. Okay, seeing none, we go back to the council for comments. Councilor O'Doherty.
I want to thank Mr. Webb again for his diligence, and I was out at the landfill this weekend, and those dumpsters get used it's just a really nice thing for the public to be able to come and put things in there instead of having everybody drive up at 14.75 miles per hour or less. I love that speed limit sign. So I want to thank you for your diligence, and also the right to repair, I think, is really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman absent. Cumby absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item passes. Item 13, Councilor Richardson.
Thank you. Let's turn that on. I move to award the bid for the Wyoming Avenue Project Phase 1 West Laramie Stormwater Outfall Project to Big Hunks Excavation, Inc. of Laramie, Wyoming, in the amount of $1,965,878.22, along with a contingency of $196,587.82, for a total amount not to exceed $2,162,466.04, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Okay, motion by Richardson, second by Somerville. Welcome.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Zeb Coulter, civil engineer, project manager for this project. Quick background is we've been working on the design for 2 years. It's a two-phase project of Wyoming Avenue. So this is the first phase, the West Laramie stormwater outfall line. So we'll be able to, it's 7 blocks of storm infrastructure put in the ground to be able to set conditions for phase 2 of paving Wyoming Avenue. So without further ado, any questions from you?
Thank you, Mr. Coulter. Any questions, council? Perfect. We will open the floor to members of the public. If you would like to speak to the city council on this item, go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom or come forward if you're in the room. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Back to the council for comments before the vote. Councilor Doherty.
I just want people to note that moving stormwater is an expensive proposition, and it's something we have to keep in mind as a city. And our city staff knows it pretty well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Good point. All right, any other comments? City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Gabriel.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item passes. Item 14, back to you, Councilor Richardson.
Thank you. I move to approve amendment number 2 to the professional services agreement with WSP USA Environment and Infrastructure Solutions, Inc. for the Wyoming Avenue and West Laramie Stormwater Outfall Project in the amount of $134,195, plus a contingency of $13,420, for a total amount not to exceed $147,615, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by Pierce. Mr. Coulter, welcome back.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. So WSP is our obviously trusted professional engineer consultant. They've done the design on this, and they are extremely qualified to help with the construction management and construction administration for this project. It's a large project, and we're looking forward to working with them to make sure that it's done correctly. Any questions?
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Doherty.
I have a question that should have been on the last item, but
Absolutely.
Is there a phase that has to be, the water has to be lifted like we do with the storm sewer? I mean, with the regular sewer line? Or do you have enough gradient to get somewhere?
Honorable Mayor, through you, absolutely. It's all gravity, so it just flows out to the McHugh wetlands underneath the interstate. So.
Any other questions, council? Seeing none, we will open this item up to the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak to the council, go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom or come forward in the room. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period. Councilor Somerville.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in terms of this item and the last one, this is a project that we've been talking about since 2014, 2015. It's a reminder of how glacial the pace sometimes of making these major improvements are. And just, it's another reminder, this is a large project, but it's a drop in the bucket in terms of what is actually needed in West Laramie. So I appreciate the council hopefully moving this forward and getting this project done.
Thank you, Councilor Somerville. Any other comments or questions, council? Great. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Item 15, Councilor Pierce.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I move that City Council approve an amendment to the Aviation-Related Services Agreement and amend the funding from $150,000 to $200,000, which is an additional funding of $50,000, and amend the 2022-2023 budget.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Somerville. What do we have on this one? City Manager.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Council, as you know, each year we work with community partners, many agencies across Laramie, to make allocations of funding from our fifth penny general purpose sales tax to support operations and activities and services that they provide to the community that are not provided by municipal government. This year, you last session adopted the funding recommendations for the nonprofits. This item tonight deals with one of our 3 fee-for-service partners, and that is the Laramie Regional Airport. Fee-for-service partners, like the airport, typically have a 2-year agreement with us for funding, and this year is the second of those 2 years. They've asked that beginning on July 1st, with the start of the second fiscal year of the fiscal biennium of end of their 2-year contract term, that they would receive $50,000 to continue to assist them with infrastructure investments, as they have many years, potentially decades of deferred maintenance and investment in infrastructure out at that site. In the packet, you will see the request coming forward from the director. I want to point out that the airport, like all of our other fee-for-service partners, does need to provide an annual report to you. They are unable to do that because your schedule is so full, and we're working to get them in here maybe sometime this summer, because right now your work sessions are booked through early June. So that is not through their fault. That is actually our fault in terms of, on the city side, just a scheduling error. But in any case, staff are happy to recommend for this $50,000. Like I said, there is a significant amount of deferred investment out there. And we do have with us, Tracy Fletcher is on Zoom. She's the treasurer of the board. If you have any questions for the airport, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, and welcome, Treasurer Fletcher. Council, any questions? Okay. Councilor Gabriel?
I don't want to have Tracy go without any questions. She needs waste of, no. Tracy, I was just curious if you could give us a general overall assessment of where things stand. We haven't had a work session with the airport for a while, and maybe could just give us a general outline of how things stand at the airport.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Harrington, Councilor Gabriel. We have been working really hard to bring everything into compliance. We have corrected 45 FAA violations. We are successful with our SkyWest audit. DEQ compliance is in place. Homeland Security compliance, as well as numerous outstanding grant assurances. This winter, the team was able to maintain open runways, as well as provide aircraft de-icing to private aviators. The fuel farm and fuel trucks have been updated and meet all FAA Part 139 requirements, as well as the ATA 103 and DEQ compliance. We have implemented daily and monthly quality assurance procedures. Many of the accomplishments by this team have been corrections to outstanding issues for years. And additionally, we have been working with Carver, Floric, and James, CPAs, and we have completed the audits up to 2022. We're in the process of that. And then fiscal year 2023 should be right on schedule next time. So those audits were incomplete and not completed prior to our board and the new director since 2018. And those are some of the highlights that we have accomplished in the last couple of years.
Councilor Gabriel, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Tracy. I know that there was a lot of work to do when this new board took over, and I think it's important for the public to know that there was a lot of inconsistencies and real problems associated with the airport, and it sounds like things are back on track, and that's good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah.
Councilor Richardson, did you have a question?
I do, thank you.
Please.
I am curious if you anticipate this increased budget rolling over into next year, into the following kind of your 2-year cycle, or if this is a piece that will be implemented now and will kind of return back to that 150,000.
Our goal is to return back, Mayor Harrington and Councilor Richardson. We do hope to go back to the 150,000. However, with all the deferred maintenance and other items that have been neglected over the years, it's hard to say. The costs of everything are going up, as I'm sure the city has experienced increased costs in construction and equipment purchases and such. One example is our ARF building was recently let out for bid, and the bids came in $300,000 over what we had initially had planned.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions, Council? Okay, I'm going to turn this over to the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment period. Council, back to you all for any comments. Councilor Somerville.
Thank you, Mayor. Just brief comment as the airport liaison. Certainly, I'm seeing the work that the board is doing and the improvements out at the airport. I think there's going to be a good report. Hopefully we can get that on the council schedule this summer. But just in general, there's a lot. I just really want to emphasize the work that's going on out there by the staff and the board is it's pretty impressive in all of the things that they've been able to tidy up.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments by the council? Okay, I would leave us with a note of support for the director of the airport from myself. I think when you hear things like 45 violations, that should make the hair on your neck stand up, right? We've been hearing a lot of public comment on things about the airport, and the state at which the airport was left in before this board is, just absurd. And so I think when you hear these comments, they need to be filtered through the dire situation the airport was in before this board took over. And of course, that will be unpopular work at times, right? There are rules that didn't exist that were, the rules existed, they just weren't enforced. And so bringing those things back into compliance is always going to be messy. And, I hope that the airport director and board and those who work out at the airport will hear this vote. I hope you all will support it, but I hope they will hear this vote as the council's support for the work they're doing. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Pierce.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Gabriel.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 noes, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Councilor Shumway, item 16.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2060, amending Title 15 of Laramie Municipal Code for the purpose of amending the comprehensive plan amendment review procedure as recommended by the Planning Commission on second reading in accordance with findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Second.
Motion by Shumway, second by Gabriel. Who do I have for this item? Mr. Gabatuller, welcome.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. Before you tonight, amendments to Chapter 15-6 of Laramie Municipal Code, which will resolve an error that was found in a previous text amendment process that was carried out back in 2015, which resulted in enrolled ordinance 1689. I gave a formal presentation on this last time for first reading. The only change that I'll mention is we updated the Planning Commission staff report for folks with color vision deficiency. So we did do that. That's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, and that was very kind of you. Council, any questions on this item? Okay. Seeing none, we will go to members of the public who wish to speak to this item. Go ahead and raise your hand or come forward in the room. Seeing none, we will go back to the council for comments. Any comments? Okay, seeing none, City Clerk, you can call the roll on this.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman, absent. O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has passed second reading. We'll move on to item 17. Councilor Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2061 on first reading, adopting the 2023 Urban Systems Project Priority List and the 2023 Major Street Plan Map as presented.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by O'Doherty. Mr. Gabtuller, welcome back.
All right. Honorable Mayor, members of council, the Urban Systems Advisory Committee makes recommendations regarding cooperative planning procedures for travel analysis and project selection for the Urban Systems Program as administered by WYDOT. This addresses the planning and extension of roadways through the major street and highway plan inside and outside of the city's corporate boundaries. The items before you this evening, the Major Street Plan Map and the Urban System Project Priority List, is an annual effort that USAC, which is the acronym for Urban Systems Advisory Committee, takes to continue the cooperative agreement among WYDOT, the City of Laramie, and Albany County, and that dates back to February 9th, 2000. The two changes of note that you'll see have to do with, one, the extension of Inca Drive, about 1.5 miles due north, to complete the future framework of collector roads in that area to the northwest of the city's current boundary. This change is only reflected in the Major Street Plan Map. The second change has to do with the removal of 45th Street connecting from Crow down to Grand Avenue. This change is reflected in both the Major Street Plan Map as well as the priority list. It was number 5 in the priority list, and it was recommended to be removed, and it was by USAC. So again, WYDOT, their operating policy 2-4 from the Urban Systems Program requires the adoption of an urban systems priority list and then the Major Street Plan Map in order to receive funding for these projects in the future. On March 23rd, this is when the Urban Systems Advisory Committee affirmatively voted to recommend approval of both the priority list and the map. On April 24th of this year, the Planning Commission also did the same. And with that, I'm glad to answer any questions that you or the council members may have.
Thank you. Council, any questions on this item? Councilor Richardson.
I just want to double check that I'm hearing correctly, because as I read part of the proposal, it sounded like 45th and Crow was going to continue to be on that map, but when I got to the end of it, it sounded like it wasn't going to be, and I just want to double check that you are saying it's removed now. Is that correct?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilmember Richardson, in the ordinance that you have in your packet, you will see what USAC's asking you all to adopt, and that is the removal of 45th. There may be some issue with the language of the city's recommendation in the staff report was different from what actually happened.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we will go to members of the public on this item. Any member of the public wishing to speak, go ahead and come forward. Raise your hand if you're on Zoom. Mr. Montoya, give us your name. For the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. I see that the major purpose, as it was just explained, is to remove priority item number 5. I think it'd be a good time at this point if we could also consider amending this, and I have not talked to the city planner's office yet about this because I really just noticed this today, but Pierce Street currently is designated as a collector street from Snowy Range Road to Madison Street. Since there is a traffic light there at Pierce and Snowy Range, what I would really recommend is that collector be extended all the way down to either Franklin or Truman, since there is a large amount of traffic that feeds onto Pierce through that traffic light and further out. So I would recommend, and I'll talk to Councilor Somerville about this too, since that's kind of her area, but I would recommend that since this is first reading.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak to this item? Welcome. Give us your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm Sarah Gorin. I'm speaking for Albany County Clean Water Advocates, or ACWA. And so a year ago, on behalf of ACWA, I contacted Planning Manager Tini about what it would take to get the proposed extension of 45th off the street map. And he told me that we had just missed the annual meeting of USAC, which is critical to this process. So this has been kind of simmering on the back burner for quite a while. There have been repeated assurances that the city has no intention of actually building out this extension because of the cost in a sensitive area of the Aquifer Protection Overlay Zone, not to mention trashing the city's investment in the Jacoby Ridge Trail and the well fields that would be affected. And so we just want to thank the people who have been involved so far, Councilors Shumway and Pierce, who serve on USAC, and encourage you to affirm the decision of USAC and the City Planning Commission to remove that from the street map. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Any other members of the public wish to speak to this item? Raise your hand if you are on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, we'll go back to the council for any comments at this point. Okay. Seeing none, City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item passes first reading. Item 18, Councilor O'Doherty.
I move to approve original ordinance number 2062 on introduction and first reading, amending the Laramie Municipal Code, Section 5.09, related to commercial service airport sales location and bar and grill liquor licenses, adding provisions for entertainment.
Second.
Okay, motion by O'Doherty, second by Gabriel. City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight is a result of the legislative action that occurred this year. They adopted House Bill, all of a sudden I'm getting them mixed up, House Bill 148 and Senate File 13. So if we dive into the ordinance, it's just a reflection of those changes that they put into the state statutes. So we want to just be prepared as we haven't gotten a commercial service airport liquor license at this point, but there was a small change made in relationship to that, and that was in the House Bill 148. In that, they added a section that says sales of alcoholic liquor or malt beverages shall be made in the terminal building and connected concourses of the airport where persons engaged in commercial airport transfer on and off aircraft. So it's just more specific as to what portion of the airport the alcohol sales are actually allowed to occur. So we're just kind of adding that small section into our municipal code as well. The other Senate File 13 is the larger piece of what we're changing, asking you to change in the next 3 readings. And that is the bar and grill liquor licenses. Of note, part of this bill that we didn't put into our municipal code because it's at a state level is the number of liquor licenses that we're allowed to issue under the bar and grill liquor licenses. We'll have 4 additional in the coming months. Both of these bills take effect as of July 1st, so would our ordinance. We would mirror that July 1st effective date. But the larger part of this was adding the entertainment section. There was a separate bill that they combined with this one that would have created entertainment licenses under a separate type of license. Instead, the legislature decided it made more sense to add it as a category under the bar and grill. So we've had several requests here and in other municipalities for axe throwing establishments, laser tag, all kinds of different, miniature golf for theaters. Theaters are one of the largest ones that are becoming more and more popular in this day and age as well. So this definition that the state added kind of helps those entities to be able to apply for a liquor license. The provisions within that is that the 60% food sales that bar and grill liquor licenses have to meet now also includes entertainment. So they have to have 60% food and entertainment sales, and only 40% of their revenue can be from alcoholic beverages. So other than that, Mayor, those were the big things to note in the changes here. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, City Clerk. Council, any questions? City Clerk, how many bar and grill licenses do we currently have available before we add 4 more?
We currently have 10 available, 10 issued to the City of Laramie. We have 7 issued at the
Okay, so we will have a total of 7 at the completion of this on July 1?
7 available, yeah.
Okay, thank you. No questions, Council? Okay,
One follow-up, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Do you ever find that those are completely utilized, those bar and grill licenses?
In the 7 years that I've been with the City of Laramie, we've never fully issued all the bar and grill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Richardson. All right, we will go to members of the public who wish to comment on this item. Go ahead and raise your hand if you are on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period. Council, any comments? Councilor Shumway, go ahead.
Your Honor, we'll receive, I think, 3 more licenses, is that right, City Clerk, in July? 4 more, and then in 2025, we'll get an additional licenses.
Yeah, when this bill first started, it was to eventually replace liquor licenses, or restaurant liquor licenses. So they were going to gradually increase over the next 10 years the amount of licenses that were issued to each municipality in order to be able to accomplish that. However, that portion of it, the 10-year part of it, was taken out of the bill. So right now they're just stepping each municipality up according to population formula.
Thank you, City Clerk. Councilor Pierce.
Yeah, did they have a discussion, do you know, Nancy, if they had a discussion related to the fees that municipalities could charge?
In respect to bar and grill, they left that part the same.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I do think this will be valuable to several businesses and nonprofits in our community. We'll be looking to this for opportunities. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman absent. Cumby absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item is passed first reading. Item 19, Councilor Richardson.
Sorry, I need to get to it here.
No rush.
I move that council move to appoint Councilor Shumway as the official voting delegate and Councilor O'Doherty as the official alternate voting delegate for the 2023 WHAM Summer Convention business meeting.
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by Pierce. Council, any questions about this item? Okay. We will go to members of the public who have any comments on this item. I'm not sure if there was a staff member interested in giving us a run through. You're certainly welcome to, but I don't know that it's necessary unless anyone would like it. Okay, great. We will go to members of the public. Go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, we will close that public comment period. Back to the council for comments. Okay, I just want to thank you both. This is, these things take up more of your time, and it's sure appreciated. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Somerville.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman, absent. Gabriel.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 0 noes, and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Item 20, we will move on to public comments. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the council, go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom or come forward in the room. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close that public comment period. And item 21, council, any consideration for future work sessions? Anybody has? Councilor Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor. I was asked by a citizen to request a work session on 9th Street, the item that the council approved a couple of weeks ago. And then after discussion with yourself and other people, it seems like we've got a big disruption situation that automatically occurs when you have that kind of construction going on 9th Street. So I told the citizen I would look into the possibility of holding a work session, but it seems to me that everything has been done, and they're in the process, the university and the city, working together the outcome and trying to minimize the problems that we have when you have construction, when you know, parking and all the logistics of people getting around in that area. So I just thought I'd point that out, that it looks like we're going to be in a construction mode for a while, and people are going to be displaced and maybe a little confused on where parking is available, and that's inevitable. We can't do a lot of things when you have construction that, so I just thought I'd bring that up and proceed, and looks like we're going to get, the project done, but
great.
Unfortunately for a lot of people, it's inconvenient, especially when it comes to parking.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone have any other work sessions they'd like to discuss? Okay. Councilor Pierce, to you for item 22.
Thank you. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Richardson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
7:27.